Do you have questions about homeowners insurance, what it covers, what are the ins and outs, and what you as a buyer or seller should look for when getting your next policy? Well, stick around. I have one of my preferred insurance reps with me, and we're going to talk all things homeowners insurance. Okay, we are with Megan Brooks, and you're going to tell them your title and let them know who you are, what you do, because you just explained it to me, and I don't think I can say it all.
Perfect. Happy to do so. My name is Megan Brooks. I'm an executive sales agent with Comparion Insurance. We are a division of Liberty Mutual Insurance. Most people have heard of Liberty Mutual countrywide.
Yep. So I know we're going to talk all things like home insurance today. So let's just start off what does a standard home insurance policy cover, so that maybe somebody who is looking to potentially buy or get home insurance, what does that even?
So your standard homeowners policy is going to essentially put you back where you were prior to any loss. It covers the structure, so the actual physical part of your home, including your roof and as well as your siding. Then we have other structures. If you're, have a backyard, it has a fence, also detached garage, a carport, etc. And then you've got your personal property. The best way I describe this is if you take your house, turn it upside down, shake it out, it's all your stuff. And it is going to give you replacement value, meaning you are going to have like, kind, and quality. Another big coverage that's included on a homeowner's policy here in Ohio is liability. So if your dog bites somebody or if somebody slips and falls on your property, that is the amount that a homeowner's insurance company would pay to defend you as their insured. And then you have loss of use. If you've ever had to get a rental car while your car's in the body shop for a claim or accident, think of that, but for your home, where the company is going to put you up in a hotel for, say, 30 days while your home is being repaired because it's deemed not livable.
Okay. And so out of you gave us a wide range of things that are covered. What are common things that are not covered that people usually think are covered, but I guess you could do so many different things.
I will say in the state of Ohio on an HO3 or HO5 policy, there's very few exclusions, but some are. Most homeowners policies, depending on the area, they aren't covered for flood insurance. That's where you would want to work with your agent and see about where you are as far as being in a flood zone, because you can purchase it. Anything that is sort of excluded, if you ask the right questions, it actually can be covered. It's just in a different line or policy. Okay. Things that are also not included, seepage. So water over time coming in within your home, because obviously that is homeowners' responsibility to make sure that everything's staying dry, and that if they see anything that they correct it. Another one that probably comes up quite a bit is vermin. So people have mice or rodents, things like that. Those are not covered. But fun fact, I will leave you with this: bats are covered under an HO3 or HO5 policy because they are considered flying mammals.
That's interesting.
I know.
Okay.
Fun fact of the day.
What about unicorns?
Not covered.
Okay, interesting. Interesting.
It's been a tough year for you.
I know. They're having a good run, but also not.
No.
So staying along the lines for buyers, I know that I will refer my buyers over to you whenever we get into contract. You have to have a homeowner's insurance policy in order to close on a property if you're financing it. But what is for somebody who might be shopping around and trying to get the best deal or what have you, what would you say to someone who is looking for, I guess, maybe the best coverage for the smallest price?
Well, maximizing your potential as far as coverages and premium goes, because obviously I'm not, none of us are blindsided that price is obviously going to be a factor, but unfortunately I always say if it's too good to be true, it probably is. I will say for first-time buyers or even buyers who haven't shopped for insurance and they're buying a new property, please, please, please be open to bundling. The insurance market continues to sort of recover from what has been considered one of the hardest markets we've seen in 20 years. And carriers are much more generous when it comes to prices, coverages, when we bundle. So that's the biggest one. And just have an open mind and be willing to kind of explore a couple of options.
Well, so for both this is a good kind of transition for both buyers and sellers. When I'm out there showing them homes and looking at properties, or if they are working with an agent, what are some things that we should be cautious of, especially in the state of Ohio, when looking like age of things?
I definitely think you want to do your due diligence. As we talked about earlier, roofs are, a real big hot button. So that and basements, because in Ohio, your two biggest exposures as a homeowner are going to be some sort of water backup in your home or water damage. Think of a pipe burst, but wind and hail is going to be your biggest one. So I think it's important, especially both sellers and buyers, do your due diligence, get a trusted roofer that to go look at the property with you, because they're going to give it to you realistically, because honestly, they have no skin in the game. They're not representing anybody in that party.
Yeah, and on top of that, can you talk briefly just about the clue reports and how those can, what that is, and how that can affect potential policies?
Great question. So a clue report is essentially a loss history of that property. In auto insurance, we use what's called a motor vehicle report. In property, we use clue. And so what that does is it gives you generally about 5 to 6 years worth of history of claims that have been filed at that specific residence.
Okay.
99% of the time, those claims that have happened, say from a seller, don't have a negative impact on a buyer trying to purchase coverage with that said company, but it is becoming more and more common, specifically when it comes to water damage. And like I said earlier, the biggest reason for that is as a company or as an insurer, they don't know what's been done to prevent or mitigate future water damage claims. So they have to price accordingly for that.
Okay, nice. And when you're looking at potentially listing your home on the sell side, obviously a clue report is a great kind of guide or understanding of that. What are other, we talked about roofs briefly, but like what are ways that sellers can prepare themselves to make sure that there's most likely no risk of potential insurance issues when they get a buyer in contract? I
think it definitely, that's where working with somebody like yourself who's very consultative, that you're going to go through a listing appointment and really kind of get ahead of things and have the roof inspected. When was the last, do you have evidence of when your heating and air conditioning systems were last serviced? That's a big deal because a lot of people don't. And honestly, the amount that a service agreement with any kind of HVAC system can you really get a big benefit from that. I think it's being really very clear and transparent when you've had a water damage claim, that you're very upfront with that. Okay.
Obviously you have to be with the residential property disclosure.
Correct, and that's. But sometimes, guess what? Everybody has a little case of amnesia, and they've forgotten. But I do, and I think it's making sure that if you've had a roof claim, that you can provide and have all those documents, somewhere, even if it's electronically, because that actually may be needed by the buyer.
Yeah, and that's like.
And then just put them in the comments of, on MLS. You can leave them there.
Correct. Yeah, and that's. I feel like keeping all of the documents in one spot, whether it's physical,
organized, correct,
or electronic, like that is such a blessing.
It really is a blessing for everybody, because in a world full of color, it keeps everything very black and white, and then everybody has the details.
Yep. And so going into, the seller is in contract, they are good to go, the buyer has their policy set up. How long does the seller need to keep their policy in place? What if they have possession post-close? What should we do?
It's common, and I may not, the Columbus Board of Realtors might not agree with me, but renter's insurance is being asked for like 2 to 4 weeks post-possession. There is no need to purchase a renter's insurance policy. You can keep your homeowner's policy in place for that property for up to 30 days. Okay. And then, obviously, but if it goes longer, thankfully, we're not seeing a lot of those like COVID post-possession timelines. There was a need for renter's insurance during that time, but you have coverage that would extend even to your new location for up to 30 days post-possession. Okay. It's very common. It keeps coming up. And unfortunately, as much as we wish renter's insurance were a big money grabber for people or profitable, they're not. So they're probably not going to be written for a month.
Okay. That's really good. Actually did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you had it up for 30 days afterwards.
Yeah, that's just that's where, like, working with somebody who has been in the industry for quite some time, you find out these little things. Like, you know, for instance, when you buy a car, you have up to 7 to 10 days to add that car to your policy, but otherwise you have automatic coverage for 7 days.
That's nice.
So,
we like that.
yeah.
Okay, so kind of going off track, but you know,
that's what
us.
we do. Yeah, for sure. Untethered.
So people who might have bought their house maybe 5-10 years ago, and we've seen such a huge appreciation in home values in Central Ohio over the past 5 or so years, what would you say to them?
Well, it's that is actually becoming more and more of a conversation I have multiple times a day. And just like the cost to buy that home in 2019 is drastically different than to buy it today, depending on interest rate and things like that, it's going to be up. And they might, you know, there might be a little sticker shock, you know, where you're just like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. It's like, well, it's not 2019 anymore. And the thing is that those homes now cost sometimes 25 to 30% more just to do a simple repair. Okay, a new roof is, you know, up 20 to 25%. So it's just something to be mindful going into the process of looking for new policies, is that you just have to put down the mindset that it's, you know, 6 years ago.
And also, you can speak more on this, but the cost to potentially rebuild if like there's fire damage or something like that, like what these sellers might have insured their home for, you know, these past 5 or 10 years might not cover everything.
And we watch that when we do client reviews, where I have to educate them, like, if we left your policy as is where it's at now, there's a really good chance if something were to happen, you know, catastrophically, that there would not be enough to cover. So I think it's important, especially if you do work with an agent, especially locally, that you are doing those every couple of years reviews. I always joke it's kind of like open enrollment time when your policies come up. One thing I wanted to touch point, because this did come up, where, for instance, the real estate value in a home versus the cost to reconstruct a home, very different. As we know, the real estate market, the prices continue to be inflated because of the supply and demand. There's just not enough. But the challenge is when I go to explain to somebody that their home, you know, is in, say, Upper Arlington. Well, they're like, I'm buying it for this. But the thing when you're looking at homeowners insurance, a homeowners insurance evaluator to rebuild that home does not care if you're 43220, 43221, or 43206. It is looking at what it would cost to build that property back on the lot. So I think that once I explain that to people, it makes more sense that your dwelling reconstruction value may not look like your purchase price or your real estate appraisal value.
Yeah, that's an important thing, because people do get tripped up on that.
Insurance companies, the reconstruction value does not care about the zip code. Doesn't.
Yeah, and I will say that you are my preferred insurance company.
Thank you.
And there's reasons for that. We do talk about it often. You might not be the cheapest, but you are going to provide the best service. And a lot of times we see, I've had it happen to me in the past where you try to go and call your insurance company and nobody picks up, or they don't respond to you for a couple days, and you need something immediately. I feel like you and your team especially are very good about being on top of things and helping.
I thank you for that. And I would say the same for you. People, when you work with you, they are not going to question what your commission is. They're going to go, that was the easiest thing. I wish I had done it sooner. I'm so glad I did. And I think for us, we look at that as like, we want to be the hero in their bad day, and we want to make sure they have an amazing experience, and that when, you know, they do have a claim, that they have our phone number and they can text us, and then they're not going to be outsourced.
Yeah, and then I feel like that's so key.
It's so important. People will pay top dollar for that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Is there anything before we say goodbye to our viewers for this week that you want to let them know in and around home insurance, or maybe like just who's your favorite Bravo celebrity right now?
The thing with homeowners insurance, like, I just, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, especially when you may want to poke around and go online. I always say you don't buy your realtor online. You don't use your lender online, you use a person. And I think it's really important, if you are given referrals from your lender and realtor, treat those like gold, because that they're partnered with them for a reason.
Yep. Well,
Love
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I hope you learned a thing or two. I know I definitely picked up some tips and tricks. So if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to myself. I can always get you connected with Megan as well if you want to take a second look at your policy. And as always, I am C-Bus Nathan. I put out new videos every Friday. I would love for you to follow along if you want to know more about Columbus, things to do, businesses, nonprofits, anything Central Ohio related. Make sure that you would hit that like and subscribe button and follow along. Until then, I will see you next Friday.